there comes a time when I have a CQ duty. I think it's called CQ duty. And I knew that was the one detail I never wanted because I couldn't memorize the lines or whatever you want to call it. So there gets to this one part and I'm like reading his CAT card completely wrong. And he's getting livid because he can't come in until I get it right. So now this man who's all of 5'2", I'll say 5'2", he might be 5'5". Anyway, looks short to me, is kicking the door. I mean, like just going at it, just heavily banging on the door. And he notices through the little call window that I get more and more flustered. So that was the most terrifying time of my life. And it wasn't over yet. So we finally have to call over the trainee that's in charge of CQ duty. She's in charge of making sure that everyone has their lines down. She's in charge of the schedule for CQ duty. So essentially it was her fault that she put me on CQ duty from, what was it, 3 to 5 or 4 to 6 in the morning anyway. You should put the people who have their lines down on the door when people are most likely to not go in. Morning being one of them because your MTI is going to come and wake you up to get your day started. Anywho, so after we let him in, he calls me to the office and her as well. And then we have to explain why I don't know my lines. I don't know, because we have a million other things to study and I didn't get around to that one. So on top of that, he's like, on your face. He makes her do the push-ups instead, because if I do the push-ups, it's one thing, not a big deal, I'll do push-ups and move on. However, when you are accountable for someone else, it hurts way more. So she's doing the push-ups and he makes me point and laugh at her. So now at this point, she's like doing the push-ups. She's like down, up, down, up. And then here's me off to the side like, I didn't really want to laugh. Like, how do you laugh in a situation like that? Nothing was funny. So I'm over here like, ha, ha, ha. Like, so robotic because it wasn't funny and I felt terrible for getting her in trouble. And then I think it was maybe a few days after that. It's crazy because so much goes on. I just realized I'm not wearing mascara. So I did a whole video with no mascara on. But anywho. So much goes on that it sounds like I've been there forever, when really all of this took place in active training was 2 weeks, and then medical hold was another 2 weeks, and then I was gone home. But anywho, moving forward, so then he notices, you know, seems like I have some sort of discipline to me or something. I don't know what he would describe. It's not like we have conversations. But then he makes me the guidon bearer, which is the person who stands in the front, marches, and holds the heavy flag. So he puts me in the front and makes me hold that. And he thinks, I don't know why he thought I would be great for that, but it was a compliment once I realized it. It's a huge honor to do that. So if you get to do it, take it seriously. But I wasn't doing it right. Like, I was 18, never really lifted weights like that. So I'm trying to hold this heavy stick so awkwardly in my arm and like march. And trying to like hold that, plus remember how to march, listening to all the facing movements or the commands. It's a lot that your brain has to process at once. One thing I've learned about me is that I don't learn quickly. I learn by repetition. So go slow and do it multiple times. But you can't do that in training. You kind of gotta, you know, pick up quickly or learn how to pick up quickly. So one day he just gets absolutely pissed off with me. He takes the flag, the guidon, and he just like launches it all the way across. And then of course I have to go get it. But after that, he never put me on that detail again. So this is when everything starts to like crumble. It's like, all right, this girl who clearly has so much potential is not grasping anything that we put in front of her. So what are we gonna do? And these were all collective signs to me that I really wasn't meant to be in the military. And the sad thing is, for years after that, I chased trying to be in the military. And I don't know if it was for me or for other people, because of course, as soon as I got home, there were so many accusations about, like, what's the real reason you got sent home? Oh, this story can't be true. Every time we talk about it, it's something different. But really, there was multiple occurrences that happened at once, which could be really just taken as signs that this wasn't meant for me. So after I get out, I start working like a regular person, go to community college, and then I started doing ROTC because they partnered with my community college from a nearby university, but I did Army ROTC. Then from there, I graduated, transferred schools, and did ROTC with the university that I ended up transferring to in Florida after I got my associates. So as you can imagine, this is like years, maybe like 5 years after I left, I was still chasing trying to be in the military. And before we even get to me relocating to Florida, it was so much. Like, you'll learn that recruiters really aren't there to help you. They're there to get their numbers up, which is the sad thing about it. So for me, my recruiter, which he was a certified creep, and I wish I had known that before, and I wish I had people that were really open that I could go to talk about it, because my initial recruiter, he would call me. It was like he learned my routine and then he would call me at that time. So right after school, we would get out like 2 something. He would call me every day, like 2, maybe like 3:30 or so. So he would call me every day at like 3:30, and he would make this comment. He would say, "Wow, you got your model voice on," or something like that. Essentially, when you're waking up from sleep and your voice has a different tone to it. So then I realized, like, he's intentionally calling me. I spit, I'm sorry. He's intentionally calling me and interrupting my nap because he wants to hear my voice in this specific tone. And mind you, at this time, I'm like 16, 17, and this is a grown man. I also disclosed with him, as I was trying to enlist, that my pediatrician mentioned that I have fallen arches, and he told me not to tell anyone, not to bring that up, as most do, instead of looking into it then. But of course, once I get back from basic, he kind of like ghosts me because his job is done. But 2, also, I found out that him and my stepmother had a discussion about my records, which neither of them have clearance to do. Not like she's the one who signed off on me joining, because I'm not her child. So recruiters can move a little sketchy, so make sure that you have someone in your corner that's there with you, asking questions and making sure that they're abiding by a professional standard and maintaining their military bearing that they're taught to maintain. Not only did I have an issue with him, but as I was trying to join, I was like willing to join almost any branch except for the Marines. So then I meet a Navy recruiter who is more creepy than my first recruiter. Now this is after basic, mind you. And the thing is that I needed a waiver. Nobody really wanted to take the time to get the waiver that I needed to enlist. However, what he did was waste my time or pretend to make an effort because he wanted to sleep with me. And now this isn't any better, because at this time I'm like 18. Just trying to figure out like how to get back in the military. And again, these are grown men. He might be younger than my first recruiter. I'm not sure. However, they're still significantly older than me. So if you're watching this and you have a kid or a daughter specifically, make sure that you're going with them to the recruiting center every time. They're not, while situations could be a lot worse than they were, they're still not safe in anyone's hands. And it's crazy because I should have thought about that then. Like, if this is how the recruiters conduct themselves, imagine how many more creepy, disgusting, untrustworthy men are in the military. That's just a side note. Yes, I'm married to someone in the military. He's not creepy or disgusting like the rest of them, and thank God. But watch your back. So then we go through my college career. I was in community college doing ROTC. I got my associate's degree, went to Florida, went to a private university there, and partnered, or